Welcome to a demonstration on performing a mass split of project asset lines by using the Import Unassigned Asset Lines FBDI workbook. Here is our agenda for this demonstration. We'll first start off with a feature description, followed by the business benefits, and wrapped up with a full demonstration. Our feature. You could use the Import Unassigned Asset Lines File-Based Data Import workbook to split project asset lines either by amount or percentage. Simultaneously, you can assign these newly created project asset lines to eligible project assets. The business benefits of this feature include: one, you could use Microsoft Excel to split and allocate project costs across thousands of project assets efficiently. And two, you can flexibly split asset lines in a manner that works best for your organization. Creating thousands of split asset lines from a single asset line is a time-consuming process. If you had to split an asset line into, say, 10,000 split asset lines using the Oracle Projects user interface, it would take you a considerable amount of time. By using the Import Unassigned Asset Lines workbook, you can now easily accomplish this task way more efficiently. In this demonstration, I will perform the following task. First, I will review existing asset lines in the Project Assets work area and perform a manual asset line split. Then I will review the worksheet instructions and pre-populated worksheet within the FBDI workbook. Then I will perform the standard FBDI actions. And finally, I will review or verify the results of splitting my project asset lines. Let's begin by taking a look at an existing capital project. This one is the Chicago Tennis Club 11 and the project asset lines, which have been created and assigned to project assets by the Generate Asset Lines process. I see that there are 10 project asset lines whose split percentage is 10%, or $10,000 each. I have knowledge that these were allocated using the asset cost allocation method, spread evenly. I also see that these asset lines have the transfer status code of pending, this column right in the middle. This means that they have not been transferred into Oracle assets. These asset lines are eligible to be split and allocated to other project assets. Let's take a look at project asset line 4195. Just happens to be at the top. And then we will perform a manual project asset line split. When I click on the arrow to the right of the asset line, I see each of the eligible project assets that I could assign this asset line to. Now I will manually split this project asset line. To do so, I need to highlight the desired asset line, which I'm already there, and I will select Split Asset Line. Once I verify that I'm in the correct asset line, Clay Tennis Court 5, I will select the Add Row or the plus sign. Then I will select the asset name that I want to share this cost with. I'll select Clay Tennis Court 2 and the percentage of 10. Note when I click on the tab, the amount populates as 1,000. When I perform this action again by clicking on the Add Row and selecting another project asset name, could be the same. This time I'll put in the amount of 1,000. It's smart enough to know that this is 10%. And if I'd like to accept this change, I will click on OK. Notice that the amount unassigned is 8,000, which is also here for 4195. Asset without assignments means that this is an unassigned asset line. If I would like to retain this $8,000 as part of the Clay Tennis Court 5, I must reselect it. And whenever you make changes, you must click on Save. Now, this existing functionality works great when there are a small number of additional project assets that you would like to share these costs with, just like the example we went through. However, if you would like to split one asset line and share it amongst 10, 100, 1,000, or even 10,000 eligible project assets, this would be an extremely cumbersome task. Therefore, Projects has enhanced the current import unassigned asset lines file-based data import workbook to enable you to split and allocate an asset line to multiple project assets. After we do our FBDI review, I'm going to demonstrate splitting asset line 4199, which is here for the Clay Tennis Court 1, the amount of $10,000. We're going to split it into 10 project assets lines and assign them to 10 brand new project assets using split amount. And then I'm going to demonstrate splitting asset line 4203, which is for the Clay Tennis Court 2, also $10,000, into 10 project asset lines and assign them to 10 brand new project assets by using split percentage. Let's review the worksheet instructions and the pre-populated workbook. First, I would like to highlight the vastly improved instructions and CSV generation page. These are provided with details on how you can prepare the table data, visual examples that explain functionality, sample data, and specific recommendations on using this FBDI workbook before you generate the CSV file and import it. Okay, going through there, just take your time. You see in row 15, we talk about the 4 key processes, give you information on preparing the data, sample data. We give you recommendations, okay, for all the functionality, including transfer status code, which was a feature in 2022. Then we talk about splitting asset lines. We give you visual examples on how rounding would work if you use split amount. Great, and once you write through that, we give you sample data for all 3 scenarios. And once you're happy with your file, you can generate the CSV file. It's the second time we've seen this. Now let's take a look at the asset line assignment worksheet. You must first unhide the hidden columns. The workbook comes with 4 hidden columns. So I'm going to select columns C and H, just unhide. Okay, the transfer status code and FA period name, that's another functionality of this, which instructions will tell you how to use. But we're going to focus in on columns F and G for splitting an asset line. Okay, we would enter in the asset line number that you want to split and replicate that row as many times as required, once for each split asset line. So I see 4199, it's here 10 times. First time we ever had this. Okay, and we see 4203, that's also there 10 times. Each asset line can be split multiple times by split amount or split percentage, but not both. Okay, that's a little bit different than we saw in the UI. Note that I've split asset line 4199, which was the Clay Tennis Court 1, into 10 asset lines, okay, by using the split amount. And I have split asset line 4203, which was for the clay tennis court 2, into 10 asset lines using the split percentage. Note, it is acceptable to have the same project asset line assigned to the same project asset. Look at rows 23 and 24. These are both assigned to clay tennis court 9. And if desired, I could leave one asset line unassigned to be assigned later. So for this example, look at row 14. As the instructions tell us, has the asset ID of 0. I will verify that my split asset lines balance to the original asset line being split. Note that one asset line for clay tennis court 1 has the sum of 10,000 using split amount, and for split percentage, I'll just use that Excel functionality to see that they add up to 100. These are ready to go. Now we will continue with the standard FBDI functionality. I'll go back to instructions and CSV generation, and I could use either one of the generate CSV files. And I'm going to save this. Make sure you use a file folder where you could easily locate it. And notice that it will be a zip file. Okay, I see here that I have a third worksheet that has been added. I do get a confirmation that the CSV and zip file have been created. My next step is to run the load interface file. So go into tools and I'll schedule my new process. And I'll put in a partial value for this. So know which import process that I'm running. And we're going to go ahead and select import on do a search. It's an easy find. And it's going to be a new file since I just created it. So I'll select upload new file and browse. There it is at the top, most recent. I'll click OK. And make sure you click on submit. 31685 has been submitted. This process typically does not take too long. So I'll click on refresh. I see that it succeeded. I do have that second process though. So I'll reselect schedule new process. Click on the arrow, do a search, import unassigned. Okay, it's case insensitive as you see. Import the unassigned asset lines. And I'll click on OK. It's going to ask me the line number range. If I leave this blank, it's going to do all the unassigned asset lines that was loaded previously. But I know that my two asset lines were started with 4199, and for tennis court 2 was 4203. So I'm just going to put in that range and anything in between there, and I'll click on submit. Now, please note, depending on your volume, this may take a little longer than the run load interface process. So I see 697. That didn't take too long at all. So let's go ahead and verify our results. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do is, this is the manage asset lines for Chicago Tennis Club 11. I'm going to have to refresh this page. So I'll do a save and close. It still remembers that I'm in the Chicago Tennis Club 11. So I'm going to reselect actions and manage asset lines, and then we'll review. Okay, so I see 41.99, which was for Tennis Club 1. Tennis Court 1 is still unassigned, but we said that we wanted that unassigned. Then as I scroll down, I see 19 other asset lines with the percentages that I used, and it's a perfect match. These results are exactly as I expected. Thank you for your interest in watching this demonstration.